There's something I hear from so many folks over 75, something that worries them more than almost anything else. It's not illness, and it's not even money. It's the fear of losing their independence. That feeling of needing to rely on someone else for the little things, getting around, running errands, even just getting up out of a chair. And I get it. After a lifetime of doing things your way, the thought of losing that freedom, well, it's tough. But here's the good news: staying independent isn't about luck or genetics. It's about one thing, and once you know what it is, you can start taking control today. Now, you might be thinking, is it exercise? Eating right? Staying social? And yes, those things matter. But there's one underlying factor that ties it all together, something that, if you strengthen it, makes everything else easier. And that's your mobility. Not just being able to walk, but moving with strength, balance, and confidence. Because here's the truth: after 75, your independence doesn't depend on your age, it depends on how well you can move. Think about it. If you can get up from a chair without help, walk to the mailbox without fear of falling, or carry your groceries inside, you're in charge. But if those things start slipping away, suddenly you're faced with tough choices. Maybe you stop driving. Maybe you need a walker. Maybe you even start wondering if it's time to move somewhere with help on hand. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, I've seen people in their 80s and 90s who move better than folks 20 years younger because they focus on the right things. And today, I want to share those with you. So, let's start with the first key to keeping your mobility: strength. Now, I'm not talking about lifting heavy weights or doing push-ups. I mean the kind of strength that helps you stand up from the couch, climb a step, or carry a bag of groceries. The kind that keeps your muscles from wasting away, because after 50, we lose about 1% of our muscle mass every year unless we fight back. But here's the thing: it's never too late to rebuild. Even small efforts make a difference. Try this: sit in a sturdy chair, straighten one leg out in front of you, hold for a few seconds, and lower it slowly. Do that 5 times on each leg, twice a day. It's simple, but it strengthens the muscles you need for walking and standing. And if you do it consistently, within weeks, you'll notice it's easier to get around. That's the power of small, daily actions. Now, the second piece of the puzzle is balance. Because what good is strength if you're shaky on your feet? Balance is like a muscle, it weakens if you don't use it. But here's a trick: practice standing on one foot while holding onto a counter. Just for 10 seconds at a time. It feels silly at first, but it trains your body to stay steady. And that means fewer falls, more confidence, and more freedom. Strength and balance, those are your first 2 keys. And already, you're on your way to moving better and staying independent. But there's one more thing that ties it all together, and that's what we'll talk about next. Because when you combine these 3 things, that's when the real magic happens. When I talk to people about staying independent as they get older, there's always one question that comes up: how do I keep doing the things I love without feeling like my body's working against me? And that's exactly what we're tackling today. Because while strength and balance are crucial, and we covered those last time, there's one more piece of the puzzle that makes everything click into place. And honestly, it's the one most people overlook. Let me tell you about my friend Margaret. At 78, she was sharp as a tack, but her world was shrinking. Why? Because she'd started avoiding outings, afraid she wouldn't be able to keep up or might lose her footing. Then one day, her granddaughter asked her to dance at a wedding. Not a fancy routine, just swaying to the music. And you know what Margaret realized? She could still move, just not the way she used to. That's when it hit her: mobility isn't just about avoiding falls or lifting groceries. It's about keeping your body adaptable, ready for whatever life throws at you. And that brings us to our third key: flexibility. Now, flexibility might sound like something only yogis need, but here's the truth: every time you reach for a high shelf, bend to tie your shoes, or turn to check your blind spot while driving, you're counting on your flexibility. And when that starts to go, suddenly, everyday movements feel like hurdles. But the good news is, unlike strength or balance, which can take weeks to rebuild, flexibility can improve surprisingly fast. Even a few minutes a day makes a difference. Here's a simple way to start. Every morning, before you even get out of bed, point and flex your feet 10 times. Then, sit on the edge of the bed and reach your arms up toward the ceiling, like you're trying to touch the sky, and take 3 deep breaths. That's it. You've just woken up your muscles and joints, and you'll feel looser right away. Do that for a week, and you'll notice it's easier to reach, bend, and move through your day. But here's where these 3 keys, strength, balance, and flexibility, come together. Because when you work on all 3, you're not just preventing problems. You're building a body that can say yes to life. Yes to walking through the farmer's market. Yes to playing with your great-grandkids. Yes to that weekend trip you've been putting off. And that's real independence. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if I've already lost some ground? Maybe you've had a fall or struggle with stiffness. Here's the thing, it's never too late to start. I've seen people in their 90s regain mobility they thought was gone forever, just by taking small, consistent steps. And that's exactly what we'll focus on next, how to tailor these principles to your life, no matter where you're starting from. You know, there's a saying I love, we don't stop moving because we grow old because we stop moving. And after talking with hundreds of vibrant seniors over the years, I can tell you, it's absolutely true. But here's what's even more important, it's never about how many years you've lived. It's about how you live those years. And that's exactly what we're going to bring home today. We've covered the 3 keys to maintaining your independence, strength, balance, and flexibility. But now I want to talk to you about the secret ingredient that makes all of this work. It's not another exercise or diet tip. It's your mindset. Because here's the truth, the people who stay active and independent well into their 80s, 90s, and beyond aren't superhuman. They've simply made one crucial decision to keep showing up for themselves, day after day. Let me tell you about my neighbor, Henry. At 82, he's the most active person on our block. Every morning, rain or shine, he does his 10-minute routine, a few stretches, some chair exercises, and a short walk. When I asked him his secret, he said something I'll never forget, I don't exercise to add years to my life. I do it to add life to my years. And that right there is the golden ticket. It's not about living longer, it's about living better. So how do you make this work for you? Start small, but start today. Maybe it's doing those seated leg lifts we talked about while watching the morning news. Or practicing your balance at the kitchen counter while waiting for the coffee to brew. The key is to weave movement naturally into your day, not as a chore, but as a gift you give yourself. Try this, every time you get up from your chair today, do it just a little slower. Push through your heels, engage those leg muscles, and rise with control. That's not just getting up, that's strength training. And when you go to the store, park a few spaces farther away. Those extra steps aren't just walking, they're keeping your independence alive. I want you to picture something. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You're moving easier, standing taller, maybe even surprising yourself with what you can do. That future is absolutely within your reach, but only if you start building it today. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Today. Because here's the beautiful truth, your body is always listening. Every small choice adds up. Every time you choose to move, you're choosing freedom. So let's make a promise, right here, right now. Promise yourself you'll do one thing today to honor your independence. Then come back tomorrow and do it again. And if you ever feel discouraged, remember, you're not just exercising muscles. You're exercising your right to live life on your terms. Because after 75, or 85, or 95, your independence doesn't depend on luck or genetics. It depends on you. And from what I've seen, you've got this. Now go show the world what aging strong really looks like. What's one way you'll move today? Tell us in the comments.